Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. The weirdo that you're looking at in his picture here is a guy by the name of Alex Karp. Okay, which is essentially he's a small hat. And basically this goes into Palantir, which is a data company or like a corporation that uses particular systems, AI systems, to surveillance people and to surveillance the citizens. Like when you go into the whole Gaza conflict with the Palestinians and the small hats, Palantir got their hand written all in it. Okay, as we know that those Palestinians are being starved out, they're being open fired upon, they've been totally displaced, decentralized, and yet the small hat takes no accountability for the amount of bloodshed and judgment that they're bringing on those Palestinians, which, we don't take a side on each because, in our stance, they're not our people anyway, so we can really care less as to what's really transpiring. But for prophecy's sake, you got to call a spade. And in this case, Amalek, he's the one going left field, and that's just what it is. But anyway, that's a story for another time. As I said, we don't really have a side that we choose between either or, but you do have the greater of two evils, and, with Amalek being on the greater end of that evil. And that's enough said. But it says Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. Now, we've been telling you that they're going to use particular systems of surveillance to get the dossier on people that's speaking out against the small hats. Because when it push comes to shove, it's all about setting up a way to neutralize free speech and to home in on the individuals that's speaking out against this kingdom. Because Esau is on the fence, he's on the ropes, and he has no way of getting himself out of KO mode, so to speak. So now he's losing his mind and he's going batshit crazy because he wants to survey everybody, which is essentially part of the new world order, because they're going to use these particular systems of surveillance and they're going to tie it into the MOT busy. They're going to tie it into this new technocracy, which they're doing away with the old and they're building up the new through these infrastructures. You had a program that Trump spent $500 billion on, or I won't say Trump, the elites invested $500 billion on, and of course Trump is the face of that, which is called Stargate, which they put $500 billion into a course of 5 years, I believe, to get the surveillance systems up and running. So henceforth, they pushed out the Real ID, which they delayed on several occasions. Got the Real ID, and it's to the point that you're going to have to need a particular carbon footprint and a type of footprint when you get online, and your searches are going to be totally governed, and what you look up and how you think and what you think and where you drive your vehicles to. And if you speak out against anything that Amalek is doing, then they already got you in the crosshairs, and that's essentially what all this is about. Okay, so while you people are sleepwalking and talking about Trump and eggs and gas prices, you can chalk that up to a loss, because there's a greater evil that's brewing on the surface of this thing, man. All right, and we've been telling you people for a long time that eventually they're going to put everybody into this digital system, and ultimately, what they call a social credit system, which China already has it. America's is following that particular model of building up a social platform, a social credit score, that if people are not in compliance and regulating with the government, then ultimately you'll be ostracized, man. You'll be cut off from certain things in society. You won't be able to go to work, and they'll cut you out of your whole ordeal. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reality of the world we're living in. As Esau is entering the end of his world, he's getting ready to lose it. All right. So let me get a precept real quick. Revelation 12:12. All right, because this is the start of him coming down with great wrath as we're seeing these chaos or these riots kicking off in LA. I believe Trump sent like 500 Marines to help to destabilize the chaos, which is all set up anyway. They found out that George Soros was paying about $12,500 a week to aid and muscle with the riots in LA. So these are Soros-funded riots, just like with the BLM shit 5 years ago. It's the same ordeal, when they're bringing pallets of bricks and bottles, and they're putting out certain things so people can get an igniting off of, and this is the result. But this is Revelation 12:12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them." It says, "Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down on you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." So he's getting ready to lose his mind. And he's coming down with this draconian methods, man. And when you go into draconian, it goes into severe punishments for the lowest possible offenses. Okay, that was Athens lawgiver by the name of Draco that imputed harsh sentences for minor and petty crimes. And this is what Esau was doing. All right, this the guy Trump. Hey, he's just he said, look, he went over Gavin Newsom's head and what's her name, Karen Bass, which is ultimately the failure of a mayor of LA. And also this guy Gavin Newsom, which is the governor, which technically, in order to deploy the National Guard in your state, you got to get approval from the governor. And Trump went right over his head. He like, man, I ain't worried about you. And he sent the National Guard into LA to coil the tensions out there, which shows you that Trump, man, he's exercising his power as a dictator. So he's going over state legislators. He's going over that and superseding these people. And he's doing what the hell he wants, man. And that should be an eye opener to you people, because he's going above state regulations. He's like, look, the hell with the state. We're going to do what we want to do. And who's going to stop me? All right. So, yeah, this dude, DJ Trump, man, hey, he DJ 2.0 remix. Hey, he may very well be the guy that's going to bring in his system. And I can very well see that. And Trump don't care about, he don't care about violating your, Trump don't give a damn about no constitution, man. He was already put in office the second time to totally destroy everything around us, man. He sold you people on the fact of getting eggs now, because you people were bickering about, gas prices and eggs and food and groceries. You was worried about essentially things you should be worried about. But the only reason why Trump won the majority vote is because he basically sold you on the economy. He said, look, we're going to bring back jobs. We're going to, bring back the jobs from overseas. We're going to get down gas prices. We're going to get down a carton of eggs. And bam, because everybody was tired of the woke shit that the Biden and Kamala administration was doing. They was tired of all that weirdism, that was going on in that previous administration. So people wanted to change. And they felt like, well, Trump, when he got elected in 2016, things was pretty much panned out. There was a little bit more money in people's pockets. But also, you got to understand, too, that we wasn't in a heavy financial. We were in a financial crisis. We was in a retail apocalypse. But when the pandemic came and they transferred the wealth into the rich, then that's pretty much when everything really hits the fan. And it's been downhill ever since. All right. But this is the book of Revelation 13, and I'm going to start at verses 11. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." Now, when you go into the concept of a lamb is a docile, friendly, lovable creature, right? A lamb is just a lamb. It's not really harmful to anybody. But a dragon, on the other hand, is a fierce creature. Okay. And Trump, he took the stance of a lamb. When he almost got assassinated, he's doing fist pump. The American people was with him. But then when he got in office, that's when he started breathing that what they call a fire-breathing dragon. He started speaking all types of inflammatory things, man. Taking away rights, locking people up against their will. He even stated that, look, is it possible we can deport U.S. citizens into foreign countries to serve prison sentences, man? And this is the guy that's running your country, man. And the funny part about it is there's not been another assassination attempt on this guy. They claim it have been, but it hasn't. Because you American people, you don't have it in you. But even then, when presidents was getting knocked off, that was by their own government. It was by their own elites that was doing it. I don't think an actual citizen ever had the balls to actually go up and try to assassinate a high official like that. Because the American people, they just suck. They stupid. They docile, you know. The dyes are all messed up. They sit back, they play video games all day, you know, and they don't do nothing but work, eat, sleep, fart, and play video games and watch porn. That's all the American people do, you know. So anyway, get into the article here a little bit. It says the Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work with the government, spreading the company's technology that could easily merge data on Americans throughout the agencies. And honestly speaking, I would rather play this because I really don't want to read 9 minutes of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But when you go into Palantir, I remember they broke it down. It goes into, it was like something on the Lord of the Rings, which I never really got into that. You know, allegedly it's supposed to be good, but there's a lot of weirdo freakism shit in it. But allegedly, Lord of the Rings, Palantir is basically a device. It was like a particular element that allowed them to look into the future or into the past. Okay, and what's the chances that he's using AI and Palantir to incorporate surveillance on U.S. citizens, man, so they can manage and track your data as if we're not being monitored already. Okay, we've been in a police state since 2001 because I was looking up when the Homeland Security was established, and Homeland Security was established roughly, I believe, in like September 2022. And now you got Homeland Security, you got the CIA, you got the FBI, you got the military industrial complex. They all are involved in this shit, man. So all these corporations, they have your data, you have your social security number, they know your scrolling habits. They're literally sitting back and monitoring as we do these videos. They're literally sitting back and hearing us, and they got our voice, and they're monitoring everything through what we say. You know, and that's technically a violation of privacy. That's against the Constitution. How the hell you gonna spy on your own citizens, man? But then you want to assassinate people that come over here and spy on your ass. That's the pot calling the kettle black, man. But it says in March, Trump signed an executive order calling for the federal government to share data across agencies, raising questions over whether he may compile a master list of personal information on Americans that could give him untold surveillance power. And they already doing this shit. But this is public information. And yet, what the hell is wrong with these Americans? With these people, this dude is literally, this is enough right here for people to say, you know what, fuck it. I'm tired of it, man. Let's go there. This is enough right here. Just this alone is enough for people to wake up out of their slumber and say, you know what, man, we got a problem on our hands, man. It shouldn't take taking food and stealing your money for the last 80 years, putting you in prison without due process. I mean, it's going to take to the point that the banks got to fail, the food. Only thing that's going to get these people roused up is when the famine comes. Okay, I'm sold on that. I'm like, these people ain't going to do nothing until you take that motherfucking Big Mac out their hand. Or you take that shake out their hand. And that's when they going to rise up. Okay, when you get rid of the Whopper, man, and the 9-piece from McDonald's, that's when these people going to decide to say, you know what, let's get up and let's do something about it. When they take the fucking number 2 away from you. But they taking your freedoms, they spying on you people, they've taken your money, you getting locked up for child support. I mean, all types of shit. And the only thing you idiots can do is sit up there and go to work in the morning and continue to be fucking bombarded. Like, what the hell wrong with you people, man? You know, this is y'all world. Y'all do something about it. We're just the prophets. We just foretell these things. But even then, we got to suffer because you people ain't doing nothing. Hell, we want to get the hell out of here, man. Why you people ain't make a move yet? And then they say, well, why ain't you make a move? Look, we ain't making no move. This ain't got nothing to do with us. We're just reporting on this shit. Okay, y'all the ones that's, you know, that's all butthurt over it. And yeah, we're in a position over it too because we live here. But essentially, we have a greater hope coming. And it's not in this place. You best to believe that. But it says here, Trump has publicly talked about the effort, but behind the scenes, officials have quietly put technological building blocks into place to enable his plan. But it says in particular, they have turned to one company, Palantir, the data analysis and technology firm. So I believe through the spirit, with all this Stargate stuff and the billions of dollars they put into this program, I believe this is going to go in tandem with setting up the systems for the MOTB. All right. And I mean, I believe that they already got the infrastructure already built, because when they mention, oh, well, he's going to invest $500 billion into it, they've already done it, man. The money is already there. It's already being put in. You know, you got BlackRock, you got DuPont, you got all these corporations that's buying up stuff. You got the military, you got the Pentagon. All these corporations, man, and military parameters are already set in store to do what they're doing. They're just setting up different infrastructures, and they're just going to transfer everything over. But they've already got the data on the people. Okay, they've been spying on people, to be honest with you, since like the 60s, man. Okay, this ain't just start when 9/11 took place. But it says, the Trump administration has expanded Palantir's work across the federal government in recent months, but the company has received more than $113 million in federal government spending since Trump took office, according to public records, including additional funds from existing contracts, as well as the new contracts with the Department of Homeland Security and the Pentagon. All right, it says this does not include $795 million contract that the Department of Defense awarded the company last week, which has not been spent. So damn, that's damn near $1 billion right there. It says the representative of Palantir are also speaking to at least two other agencies, the Social Security Administration and the Internal Revenue Service. There you go, about buying this technology. And according to 6 government officials and Palantir employees with the knowledge of the discussion. So this is going to be bad, man. Okay, this is all about tracking you, monitoring you, your carbon footprint, you know, what you look up. And ultimately, they trying to weed out who's speaking up against the elites, man. And you got this weirdo right here. Okay, you got men like this that sit in the basement in a bunker somewhere, and they literally dictate your life from behind the scenes, man. Okay, this guy's not a fucking elected official. What the hell is he doing? You know, he's somebody that was put in place, you know, maybe through family ties, because, you know, all these people go back into the elites, whether it be the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Bushes, the Lees, the Gettys, you know, the Schiffs. All these men go back to that, like, you know, you got this guy Elon Musk, which his father was a technocrat. And you got this guy Bill Gates. His father was a eugenist and so forth. So all these people have been put in place specifically to lord over you tribes, man. Okay, this is what we're dealing with. This is the counsel of the wicked. You see? Let's go to the book of Psalm 64. Because, man, this is just what it is. This is coming to fruition. But this is the book of Psalm 64. And 2, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection, from the workers of iniquity. That's your elites, man. Your so-called globalists, as these what you call it, these paid oppositionists, I call them. They call them globalists instead of calling them out by name. Like Putin called their ass out. The Rothschilds, he called them out. You know, but you got men like Glenn Beck and Redacted and all these other Sean Ryans and all these other men, Alex Jones, that always say the globalists. But once you call them out directly by name, okay, once you say the small hats or the JOOs, or the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, you know, once you call them out by name, and they can't do that because essentially they're being paid by these people, man. So you notice Alex Jones, he'll never call out Evelyn Rothschild directly. He'll never call him out. He'll beat around the bush with that shit, you know. But hey, we keep it a spade because hey, we ain't got shit to hide. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they gonna come for us, but the Lord gonna come for them. So that's all that fucking matter. We don't care. All right, we damn sure ain't afraid. And it says here, who whet their tongue like a sword, even bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, and suddenly they do shoot at him and fear not. Yeah. Because in their mindset, they like, well, the Most High don't see us. Who the hell? The Lord ain't gonna do nothing to us, man. He's been letting us get away with destroying his people thus far. I mean, we can safely say that we've got away with totally offing the Lord's people, but you don't understand the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay, because there is going to be a recompense that's going to be brought upon the head of the elites, man, and you're going to have to serve a punishment. All right, there's going to be unbearable. It's going to be to the point of it's going to be how could I say it? The punishment you getting ready to serve is going to be beyond bearable. Okay, beyond unbearable. And I can't even do it justice on how bad you elites are getting ready to get jacked up by the Heavenly Father and His Son and His men. So, hey, keep doing what y'all do, man. And it says, and they encourage themselves in an evil matter, and they commune of laying snares privately, and they say, who shall see them? Yeah, because when you hide behind companies like this, like Palantir, and it goes over to people's heads, it's just like at this point, what else to do? You know? But anyway, I got a video I want to play. A couple of minutes. It's about 30 minutes long, but I'm damn sure not getting ready. I'm not going to pay all that. I'm not going to play the whole 30-minute video. But I may play like 5-6 minutes, interject here and there, and you get the point. But this is leading all to the mark of the beast, man. All right, so here we go.
Nations Conspire channel, welcome.
And this is by Nations Conspire. He puts out some decent interviews. Some decent videos, and fair use, fair use, fair use.
To today's show, let's all hope that this is the story that starts waking up conservatives to this rigged system, that this is not a democracy, this is not a republic anymore, and what they're trying to bring about is a technocracy. Because the left and the right have been working together for the last 10 years or so to dismantle the infrastructure of the United States government from the top to the bottom. Everything you've seen on the news, all of the nonsense that has gaslit, that has manipulated people, that has gotten people to hate their own neighbor based on political ideology, it's all been deliberate. It is a psychological operation to bring the infrastructure down, to make the people demand change, to make people hate the opposite political party so much so that they would rather see a technocracy in place than the opposite political party, because that's how much they loathe and detest them. And the technocracy is a communist digital infrastructure where these people will have total control over every single thing we do, every single thing we say, our bank accounts, our movements, how often we can drive, what we're allowed to eat. It all comes down to behavioral control. And I've been saying it for years with Donald Trump. And now maybe people will start seeing the signs, because Donald Trump has partnered with Palantir to bring about this AI governance infrastructure that is what they've been talking about at the World Economic Forum and the United Nations for the last 20 years or so.
The future of money isn't dollars, it's crypto.
That's where Gemini comes in.
And people
See, they selling you on the stuff right there. But even then, remember going back into 2023 when Cotton Swab said that there's going to be a cyber attacks, there's going to be global surveillance and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? What you people shoot down, they just go around and do it. Like if they shot this down, they'll just package it up into some other bill, or they would just slowly integrate it into another way. They don't listen to the people. They just going to push it in anyway. They're going to do it subtly, because at the end of the day, this is the agenda, and this is Yahweh Shem Shai's plan. Okay, the scriptures say that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. So ultimately, this is happening because this is the plan of the Heavenly Father. This is his determination. Okay, don't nothing go approved of unless Yahweh Shem Shai allows it. So it ain't even these people, essentially. It's the Heavenly Father that's pushing this. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Become so desensitized to hearing words like compiling data that they don't realize what these people are actually doing with the data that they're gathering. They're building digital profiles on all of us, and the laws and the rules and the things you're allowed to say are going to change, much like China. And of course, they're going to bring in a social credit score. But as things continue to change with what hate speech is and what isn't hate speech, you will be criminalized for the things you do and say online. So Donald Trump has partnered with Palantir, and this is going to be a nightmare for all conservatives and all Democrats. And this should be something that unites people together against technology, because the only way to push back here, the only way for an actual revolution, is to give the middle finger to tech, start getting back to the basics and being less dependent on technology, because the more dependent we are on technology, the more the control they're going to get. And all of a sudden, these people have full-on control because people are addicted to their technology, and they know that, and they knew that they would become that over the last 15 or 20 years, that they have gotten people obsessed with their phones and addicted to searching and looking for every possible answer to every question they have on the internet. So here is the story with Palantir, and pay attention to the stuff I talk about, including the kill chain, later in the video. But here's the news clip for anyone out there that's wondering who Palantir is and what they're doing.
The Trump administration wants your data, but why? The White House is reportedly teaming up.
And he said that they've gotten people obsessed with being on their phones. So once again, encouraging themselves in the evil matter. It's called gradualism. They push certain things under what they call convenience. When you have convenience, then people seem to forget the consequences behind convenience. Because your phone is convenient, you got all your documents, you got everything at your leisure. But what are you giving away for that? Because I remember back in the day, even before I had a bank account, when I had my first little summer job, man, I used to have to go to the job and pick up my check, and I used to have to go to a currency exchange, because I didn't have a parent that was competent enough to want to deposit the money in a bank account. Even if she had a bank account, who fucking knows? But, we used to have to go and cash, those little $200 checks back in the day. They'd take a couple of dollars out, you go to the currency exchange, and they tax you, Now you just have what they call direct deposit, where you can do, you can snap a picture of your check, and you can deposit your check into your freaking bank account mobilely. I can literally take a picture of the front of the back of the check on my phone, and I can upload it to my bank account, and it'd be there within a matter of hours. So you see how advanced things have become, and they've sold people on that. That's why people are going to sleepwalk right into this system, because of the convenience. It's easy because they bombard you with everyday life, and the tasks are becoming more tedious and more strenuous to the time people don't really make the time to take out in their day to do things they need. So when you can go to the DMV and upload a driver's license through the phone, then it's like people are like, oh, well, I ain't got to wait in the DMV for 4 hours. Okay, cool. You see? So yeah, man, this thing is getting ready to pop. So this is the book of Psalm 17, and I'm going to start at verses 8. It says, keep me as the apple of the eye and hide me under the shadow of thy wings. Yeah, because we're going to need to be shielded in this coming time, because, men like us are going to stand out eventually, because people are going to start noticing trends. Well, this guy ain't been coming to work. He's been kind of, going back and forth and bucking up against the leadership, against, what identification he needs to get into the building to clock in. It's going to be a kickback like it was back in 2020. There was a pushback, for myself, men like us. There was a heavy pushback. Like I told I was getting into it with the supervisor, because I'm like, I'm not masking up. I'm like, I'm not finna put that shit on my face. You got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And I get caught in the office and all this other stuff. So, hey, brothers, you're going to have to be ready to ruffle feathers again. All right, don't let this little die-off period get you all lackadaisical. You got to ask the Most High to put that grit back in you, because once push comes to shove, this is your salvation on the line. So what, you going to throw it away because you don't want to offend somebody? Hell nah. I'm all for offending people if it comes to my salvation, man. Hell, matter of fact, when they start pushing this, I'm not even going to show this. I'm not even going to work. I'm like, hey, that's all I need to know. Because eventually we ain't going to be able to live in our apartments. We're not going to be able to drive the vehicles anymore. So you got to get yourself mentally prepared to go out pure faith, man, and leave this stuff behind. And believe it or not, it's like a load off your shoulders when you're able to leave what Esau deems responsibility behind, because it's just like, this shit is pointless. It's the same thing every day. You're walking on eggshells because, your supervisor's getting messed with by their supervisor. So therefore they putting the hammer down on you. Nobody wants to live like that, man. Eggshells, like, cool. We'll take our chances on the prowl. But it says, and from the wicked that oppress me, from the deadly enemies who compass me about, right, all around us, because this is going to be a global system, a surveillance system. Me and one of the elders was speaking a couple of months ago about how you think something, then you're going to have an AI show up at your front door. You're going to have a damn techno drone that shows up with a plastic badge and say, you're in violation of this particular code here. Like in Demolition Man, if you use what they consider obscenity, then all of a sudden you will get fined. The new Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and they coming out with these games like every 6 months or so, it seems like. And I'm like, I was looking at the preview, I was playing it yesterday, and then I was on Black Ops 6, and I'm like, Black Ops 7, I'm like, Black Ops 6 just came out literally like the end of last year. I'm like, dude, like, y'all not even giving people a time to learn the game. Like, it takes, literally, if you really want to be good at a Call of Duty game or a 2K game, it literally takes you about a year to master, because it's literally like a school. It's like literally going to school. You got to know this, that mechanic. You got to know the maps. They don't give you time to learn this stuff, so they're just adding the more content on top of what's there. And the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 preview, they showed you the AI shit. They showed you the multiple different realities. you know, at the metaverse stuff, and they showed you basically those prototype drones, man. You know, like the AI hybrid police, they showed you that when the robots are, you know, when people buy the robots and the robots give you the download on everything what's going on. They got several movies on Netflix on it. They got several movies on Prime. They all own Prime. Hell, even Megan 2.0. That's a whole nother ordeal. So they're pushing this thing quick. But it says, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. It says they are enclosed in their own fat, and with their mouth they speak proudly. Yeah, when you go into Noah Yuval Harari, he even said it, the concept of a God is played out. We can be God. He said it. Okay, that's speaking proudly. It says they have now compassed us in our steps, and they have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Yeah, the satellites, man, the surveillance systems, hell, they got bunkers all over the place. You'd be surprised on what type of central stations they got right in the hood. They showed you that on They Clone Tyrone. Literally, they had data centers set up right under the hood, right in Jake's neighborhood, right underground. You had Esau surveilling Israelites, man. So what make you think they ain't going to do that on a national scale? But it says, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places, right? The secret places, the places you don't see. Government office, underground bunkers and stuff like that, off-site locations. You know, it ain't no coincidence they're building all these data processing centers right in the Midwest where all this land is at. They're building, I think they got the Meta Facebook Center, which is supposed to be up and running this year. I remember when they broke ground on that, man. It's going to be a huge data location. They had Microsoft. You know, they got a new, I believe, FBI headquarters. They got some type of new headquarters coming out this way, too. Because it ain't nothing but land out in the Midwest, man. You know, so they're building these data centers inland because, I mean, where else they going to put it? Especially when you got them inland. Nobody's coming inland to disrupt these things. So you set them off site. It says, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, as it were a young lion lurking in the secret places. But arise, O Yahweh, and disappoint him, and cast him down, and deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Yeah, because this is part of his sword, because he's going to weaponize this against us, man. You see? So, yeah, we're going to be totally locked inside this grid, man, and that's when things are going to get real sticky.
With controversial tech powerhouse Palantir, the data analysis and technology firm co-founded by Trump mega donor Peter Thiel. The purpose? To build a federal database tracking millions of Americans. Supporters say it'll stop fraud and boost efficiency. Critics call it a surveillance nightmare. But what's really happening? And why is this new system sparking so much outrage?
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's unacceptable to President Trump to allow rampant waste, fraud, and abuse.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste.
In case you hadn't heard, President Trump is on a quest to quash waste, fraud, and abuse. And his administration expands its footprint across the federal government. All roads run through the tech giant Palantir. A March executive order pushes all federal agencies to share their data, effectively giving Palantir the keys to the kingdom. At least 4 major agencies are already on board: the IRS, Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, and the Social Security Administration. Each channeling sensitive data like medical claims, bank accounts, even immigration records into one central database.
On its face, it looks like the government is trying to save money in terms of operations, not doing the same thing over and over again. When you look a little deeper, or perhaps the implications or the risk is putting all the information together at one time going to create a greater risk for the American public.
The goal? Catch fraud, spot threats before they escalate, and streamline how government works. The pitch is compelling: fewer wasted tax dollars, faster services, and smarter law enforcement. But Palantir
See, and that's how they sell you under the convenience. But you got this guy here, Peter Thiel, which is the CEO of PayPal. No coincidence how these people get put in these positions, man. He ain't just was good at infrastructure and technology, and he applied for the job, went to college and got a degree. No, this man was put in that position for a reason. These globalists are put, or these technocrats are put in these positions for a reason, man. Okay, they're not there just by coincidence. It ain't just some random Edomite that decided to say, you know what, I'm going to start studying at night. You know what I'm saying? I'm I'm gonna start studying the books and hitting the books and making it a class on time and graduate with a 4.0 GPA and get lucky. And all of a sudden he's the CEO of PayPal. Hell nah, man. These are evil, wicked men. This is your synagogue of Satan right here. The wicked. This is the wicked. And we've been telling you, Jake, that, man. All right. It says, for men which are thy hand, O Yahweh, for men of the world which have their portion in this life, whose belly thou fittest with thy hid treasures. They're full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. But as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, and I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, man. Okay, so we're going to need a deliverance here. As it says, the Lord prays for giving deliverance, man. Okay, we're going to need deliverance. We're going to need faith in that day. All right, this is the book of Psalms 18:3. It says, I will call upon Yahweh, who is worthy to be praised, so I should be saved from my enemies. These are the enemies of the Israelites. Okay, look at these weirdos here. And Trump is a fucking demon. Look at these guys, man. Okay, you think these Edomite, you think they have your best interest, Jake? You gonna see the sinister look in this guy, man. This man got the devil written all over him. Look at him. You get to see the countenance. The scriptures say you would know a man by his countenance, man. These are demons right here. These are the straight. This is the devil that we're dealing with. And they gonna show that real soon, man. While you Jakes are out here playing games and twerking and thinking everything is gonna be okay. You black women out there, hey, you gonna realize that the so-called black man was never your enemy. But the one that you sided with and the one that you put your family behind, they're getting ready to show you what they better than they can tell you. And they're already showing you people. 2 Thessalonians 2, and I'm going to start at verses 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. It says, for that day should not come except that come a falling away first, that the men of sin may be revealed, the son of perdition, which is these devils. It says, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worship, so that he is the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, show him himself that he is the power, all right? And that's what Esau is trying to do. He's setting up this left-hand means of a new world order to establish his governance, his righteousness, man, to establish his ways in the earth, and to totally do away with Yahweh Bashim and Yahweh Shai. Okay, remember the scriptures say that his enemies, he puffeth at them. He's like, right, God, God who? And this is the spirit that these devils are coming in, man. And they're going to show you that real soon.
Founded by Trump ally Peter Thiel, would have unprecedented access to Americans' personal data. That has some employees walking away. The fears go beyond privacy. Critics say the system could be weaponized, used to go after political opponents or vulnerable communities. And once the data's centralized, it's nearly impossible to undo, and it could make it more difficult to protect.
In this case, now, instead of something being segmented, now potentially an entire mass database of virtually the entire U.S. population could be at risk.
Palantir's contracts are already being renewed into next year, but federal agencies have until September to report their data sharing compliance.
So really what you saw there is a company that is working with the military on military contracts, government contracts, who is providing the government with every possible detail about every.
And you think that people will be outraged about this, but this is like people don't even care. They just giving up. They just like, you know what, let me go to work and let me continue to pay for a fallen world. Like you're literally losing wealth by the second. Okay, your bills are getting higher, everything around you, and you're so distracted with trying to stay above water to the point you don't realize you're sinking faster.
Every single civilian in America, and they're doing it all around the earth, as I'll show you momentarily. But remember, this is all about bringing in AI governance. The motto of the World Economic Forum is AI Governance Alliance. Donald Trump on day one talked about bringing in a $500 billion AI infrastructure. And this is the beast system. This is what it looks like. This is when social credit scores come in and digital IDs come in. They are doing all of these psyops out in the news to make you want these things. All conservatives care about right now is border control and border safety, because the government's been putting out psyops and false flags about people crossing the border and be about detaining people, who's allowed to be here and who's not.
Well, that's the start, because Trump even mentioned back in 2017, 2016, they want a national visa tracking system, starting with the immigrants or migrants, Salakia.
Digital ID will put an end to all of that, and they're making you want that digital ID, just like they told you in 2020 and 2021 during COVID that they wanted a digital passport and everybody rejected it. Well, they pivoted. They pivoted to a new PSYOP, which is the border PSYOP, which is illegals crossing the border and making people say, you know what, it's not safe here anymore. Maybe we do need a digital ID to track all the people coming in and out. So Palantir, let's talk about them. Palantir, it is named based off of the translucent stones that were used for communication and intelligence gathering in the Lord of the Rings books and movies. Now, I've never seen the Lord of the Rings. I'd rather get neutered than sit through something like that. But again, it is named after the seeing stones from the Lord of the Rings, where users were able.
And see, that's not by coincidence, man, because these elites, they sacrifice to their left-hand gods and their spiritual means. And these are all these guys that's been reinvigorated back into society, going back from the ancient Greeks to the Assyrians to the Babylonians to the ancient Egyptians, okay, to Hamitic gods. All this shit goes back into the Tower of Babel, coming back into the world today, man. It's the same thing, just repackaged and rehashed to you. That's why the scripture said that there's nothing new under the sun. All right? It says the powerful translucent stones used for communication and intelligence gatherings, known as the seeing stones, okay, which allows them to see the future, which allows them to dictate and to put certain parameters into place to make certain calls over people's lives, man. That's them playing God over your life, as we just read in Thessalonians, man. Okay, this is Esau trying to play the Most High. It says they allow users to see things far away or even look into the past, like we had in the ancient world called the Urim and Thummim, which means perfect light. When the priest was able to look in like the crystals and they was able to get some type of semblance of a vision as to what was transpiring. It's called the perfect light, the Urim and Thummim, which is essentially what we're using here. The internet, the light, you know, the crystal ball, hell, the AI. That's the left-hand version of the Holy Spirit, the left-hand version of the Urim and Thummim. Urim and Thummim, which means perfect or the light, so to speak. And it says they allow users to see things far away or even look into the past. It says the Palantir was created by the Elvins and given to the Nemranians, gifts who later distribute them throughout Middle Earth. So there you go. Nothing is by coincidence. It's devil, man. He's following the playbook. Wisdom of Solomon 2. And let us start at verses 9. It says, let us go out without his part of voluptuousness, and let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion and our lot is this. But let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not